Now you're going to get your tapestry needle with the same colored yarn as the main body of the doll, and you're going to take both of the arms. We're going to sew the arms on first. So you're going to take and line up the arms. Make sure that you have the side that you want towards the hands to be facing away from the shoulders. And then you're just going to line up the arms along midline on the side of the body on both sides, and I use the ear usually to line it up. Then you want to go down about a couple of rows down. Make sure that they're even on both sides. Then you're going to take and hold all three pieces together. Go through about a couple rows down, and then you're going to go through the arm, through the body. Be careful you don't poke yourself on the other side. But you're going to come through on the other side at about the same distance, and then just bring the tapestry needle through. Make sure that you leave enough yarn on the other side for tying a knot. And then you're just going to go about a stitch over and then go back through about a stitch over where you started. Bring the tapestry needle through. And then you're going to want to go through one more time. So you just take your tapestry needle and then go right back through. Make sure you come out where you want to on the other side. And then go about a stitch over and go right back through again. And you want to make sure you're about where you went in, so you don't want to come down too low. So you can see how I'm coming out right where I went in. Then you're just going to move the arms how you want them to move, and the body puffed out to the size that you want. Then you're just going to take and tie a knot. And then you're going to put the legs on the exact same way. And then you can just bury your loose yarn ends. Just take your tapestry needle, put the loose yarn end onto the end, go right where you tied your knot, and then come out anywhere on the arm. And then I did the same thing for the legs. Just line them up midline along the side of the body, and for mine I went about 3 rows down from the arms. Then you have the legs sewn on as well as the arms. If you had trouble going through the full thickness of the arms, the body, and tying the knot that way, I'm going to show you a different method with the Santa Claus. You can go ahead and put the boots on, the Mrs. Santa Claus. Now I'm going to show you a different method with the Santa Claus doll, and I already have the boot on the leg, kind of so I can measure how far up I want it on the body of the Santa. Then make sure that you have the foot facing the way you want it. It doesn't really matter because you can move the boot unless you sewed it in place, but the leg looks the same, you know, regardless. But anyway, just take your boot. You want the leg portion only, and you're going to go in through the side And the same way, you're going to go about a couple stitches down. I went about 3 stitches down, right in the center, out the same distance on the opposite side. Just go right through. Make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end for tying a knot and burying into your work. And then you're just going to line up where it is exactly that you want the yarn to go into the body. So again, you're going to line up with the ear. Make sure that you have it positioned where you want the leg to fall on the body. And then once you know where you would like to go into the body, you just take your tapestry needle and just go right in. And we went in from the magic circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right above the 12th round. So you want to make sure that you're exactly the same on the opposite side, and that you're lined up with the ear on the opposite side. Then you can take and come out on the opposite side in the area that you want with your tapestry needle. Then you're just going to leave a little bit of a gap in between the leg and the body. And then you're just going to take the other leg and you're going to go into the side the same distance that you did with the other leg. Then you're just going to go right back through. The going back is easier because you're just going to go about a stitch over from where you came out. Same thing. Try to come in between the stitches and not in the same stitch as the previous entrance, because you don't want the yarn to get tangled, because we're going to pull the yarn and pull the legs to the body. So you're only going about a stitch over from where you went in. And you can see how I'm leaving a little bit of a gap between the legs. And then you're just going to do that twice. I like to go twice just to give it extra stability and strength. Now you have the yarn going through twice, and after you exit you can just pull on the yarn. It's that simple. Pulls the legs right together against the body. Then you just take and tie a knot. Make sure you have it snug as you want it, and then you just bury it the exact same way. Now I'm going to show you how to make Mrs. Santa's hat. So you're going to take the red yarn, fold it over on itself to form a loop. I'm using my 5mm crochet hook. Go right through the loop. Hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Then you're just going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain. I'm going to just show you 4 of them, and you're going to make a chain of 50. So just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and finish a chain of 50 and then come back. After you make your chain of 50, you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch over. And then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across to the beginning. This is how your work should look. Go ahead and fold it in half to join into a circle. Just make sure that you don't twist it as you fold it in half. Then you're just going to take and make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first single crochet to join into a circle. So just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the hook through both loops to join into a circle. Then you can go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work over and just put your tapestry needle onto that loose yarn end at the bottom, and you're just going to join the bottom to form a circle or a ring. Then you can turn your work. This is the right side that's facing towards me, and we're going to start making our Trinity stitches around the circle. So this so far is the rim of the hat. You're going to go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, make a single crochet, and then you're just going to make your Trinity stitches and start working in rounds until you've completed a total of 7 rounds of Trinity stitches, just like we did for the pant legs and also for the sleeves. Chain 1. Don't forget your chain 1. Go into the same stitch that you finished your last Trinity stitch. Chain 1. And you're just going to repeat this and start working in rounds until you've completed 7 rounds, and then come back. This is how mine looks after finishing 7 rounds of the Trinity stitches. Now we're ready for our decrease rounds. So go ahead and take your yarn marker and place it right where you left off. Then you're going to take your crochet hook, you're going to go into the last stitch that you made your last Trinity stitch, just like we've been doing for each of the rounds. Bring up a loop. Go ahead and make your Trinity stitch, only the decrease portion, meaning that you're going to yarn over and go through those 4 loops, but this time you're not going to chain 1. So that's how you're going to decrease the number of stitches. There's no chain 1. So then you go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 4, and then no chain 1. And you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around, making your Trinity stitches without a chain 1. And you're going to keep doing this until you're almost closed, and then come back. I just wanted to show you my hat. I've made it back to my yarn marker, and you can see how it's starting to get smaller and smaller. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pass the yarn marker. Make sure. You still want to go into the same stitch you left off with. And then you just continue around until you're almost closed. Then come back and I'll show you how to slip stitch it closed. Now you can see that I'm almost closed. So now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch it completely closed. You just skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. And then you just keep slip stitching all the way around until the top is completely closed. Then you can go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and pull the yarn through the top. Then you're going to take your tapestry needle, put it onto your loose yarn end, bring it into the wrong side of the hat, and then you just want to bury your loose yarn end. So you just take and weave it through the inside of the wrong side of the hat. Sometimes I'll go a couple of directions. And then just cut your loose yarn end. So go ahead, bury all of your loose yarn ends, and then come back. Then you're going to take your hat, make sure that the right side is facing towards you, and then the back of the hat, find the back seam. You want that towards the back of the doll. Then you're just going to take the hat and place it so that the ears are covered. You also want to make sure that the bangs are facing out so you can see them. Then you're going to take a little yarn marker and just place it right where you want your straps to come out of the hat. So I already marked it on both sides where I want my hat straps to go. It's going to come into the front and tie into a bow. Then once you have those in place, the little yarn markers, then we're going to attach the red yarn to make the straps. So here, go ahead and take the yarn marker out, and then you're going to place your crochet hook right through the same opening. You're going to bring up a loop. Actually, make sure that you're turned. You want to have the right side facing you because you want the knot to be tied on the wrong side of the hat. So then once you've joined it, go ahead and chain one and then tie a knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 22. Go ahead, finish making a chain of 22. After you finish making your chain of 22, go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to form the tie. So then you just take and pull that chain snugly back towards the hat. Then you can take and just leave about 1 centimeter on the end for the strap. And go ahead and repeat the same thing on the opposite side, and then bury your loose yarn ends. After you finish your straps, then you can make the design around the rim of the hat. So find the back of your hat, then you're going to take and join the trim for your hat. For mine, I'm using the homespun white colored yarn, but you could use regular white colored yarn if you feel more comfortable crocheting with that. Go ahead and bring up a loop and then chain one. And of course you want to take and tie a knot. I'm going to bury the loose yarn end as I crochet. So I'm going to go into the next, actually I'm going to go ahead and chain two. 1, 2, and then I'm going to make 1/2 double crochet in every stitch around. So I'm going to go behind the loose yarn end, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 for a 1/2 double crochet, and you're just going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, go behind the loose yarn end, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 loops for a 1/2 double crochet. And then you're going to make 1/2 double crochet into every stitch back across. Just going to show you a few more. When you get to a strap, go ahead and fold it into the inside of the hat. Then just yarn over and then go into that same stitch and just go around the strap. This is how mine looks so far. I have the straps on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and cut my loose yarn end here that I buried. So the straps are on the inside. When you reach the beginning, then you can go ahead and make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 2 that you made. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then you're going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then I just used my clover pom-pom maker. And this part is optional. You can leave your hat just like this if you wanted to, but I like to use the pom-poms. So I'm just going to hold the yarn here, and then just drape the yarn around the arch and just wrap it around both of the arches. Then I just use my embroidery scissors to cut down the middle on each side. Then just take a longer strand of yarn, tie it right down the middle, tie a knot. Then you can take your pom-pom out. Then you have a nice pom-pom. And what I did was I just put my long end, put it onto your tapestry needle. Then you can take and sew it right into the rim of the hat. So you just take about a stitch over to the inside of the hat. Go ahead and tie a knot on the inside. Then after you tie your knot on the inside, just go right where you tied the knot, go back through the pom-pom, and then just trim the loose yarn end. And then for mine, I just placed pom-poms all around the rim of the hat. So now I'm going to show you how to make Mrs. Santa's dress. You're going to start with the red yarn. You're going to fold it over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, and I'm using my 5mm crochet hook. Go right through the loop. Hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb, then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain. I'm going to start with a chain of 4, but you're going to make a chain of 42. So that's 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, finish a chain of 42. After you finish your chain of 42, then you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So just take your crochet hook, go into the second chain from the hook, bring up a loop, make your single crochet. Then we're going to make a trinity stitch. So you're going to go into that same stitch that you just made a single crochet. You're going to bring up a loop. Then you're going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop. Go into the next stitch and bring up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4, then chain 1 to complete your trinity stitch. Then you're just going to make a trinity stitch all the way across the chain you just made. Don't forget your chain 1. Remember, you go into the same stitch you just finished. Complete your trinity stitch. And don't forget your chain 1. So go ahead, finish making your trinity stitches all the way across, back to the end, and then come back. So this is what mine looks like. I'm at the end now. I have one last trinity stitch to make. And this last trinity stitch is made a little bit differently, so I'll show you how to do that. So this part's the same. You yarn over and pull through all 4, but you're not going to chain 1. You're going to make a single crochet into that last stitch. So go into that last stitch, bring up a loop, and then make a single crochet. Now you're going to take your work and fold it in half. Make sure that it isn't twisted. We're going to join it into a ring. You're going to take and go into that top stitch. Make a slip stitch. Then you're just going to lay the work down and join the bottom portion. Then you're going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Now this is where I finished off, and you could see how I have the trinity stitch, 1, 2, 3. You're going to go ahead and turn it upside down. And then you're going to take that loose yarn end. I have the right side facing towards me. I'm going to join my yarn, the red yarn, to the opposite side. Go ahead and chain 1. And then just tie a knot. Now we're going to make an increase round. So we're going to increase the number of stitches in the round. You're going to make a chain of 1. Then you're going to go into the next stitch over, go behind the loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, make a single crochet. So you're going to make 1 single crochet in 1 stitch, and then go into the next stitch and make 2 single crochet into the same stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to where you started. So 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that pattern all the way around back to the beginning. So this is how mine looks so far. I ended up with 58 stitches. Don't worry if yours is a little bit off, it doesn't matter, as long as you're pretty close to the amount of stitches that I had. So this bottom portion is going to be the bottom portion of the dress, and we're going to come back to this portion to finish the top portion of the dress. So now you're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over to join the round. Then you're going to chain 1. You're going to go into the next stitch over. You're going to make a single crochet. Then you're just going to make your trinity stitches. Go back into that same stitch you made the single crochet, bring up a loop. Go into the next stitch and bring up a loop, next stitch and bring up a loop. Make your trinity stitch. And then you're just going to make your trinity stitch, continue working in rounds until you've completed 20 rounds. So 20 rounds of trinity stitches, and don't forget that you have to chain 1. Then you go into that same stitch that you just finished and continue making your trinity stitch, and then you're just going to keep working in rounds until you've completed a total of 20. I finished 20 rounds of the trinity stitches, and you can test the length of the bottom of the dress by putting it onto your Mrs. Santa Claus doll. But mine I want to make extra long, so I'm adding this extra design at the bottom of the dress, and this part is optional. You can keep the bottom of the dress with this same pattern, or you can, if you want to make the same pattern as me, I'm going to show you how I did the last round. So after I finished my last trinity round, you want to make a slip stitch into the next stitch. So go into the next stitch and yarn over and turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Now you can finish off here if you're done with your dress, or what I did was I made some treble stitches all across the bottom of the dress. I'm going to show you how I did that. Just make a chain of 4. That counts as your first treble crochet for the round. Then in the next stitch you're going to make 1 treble crochet. So you yarn over twice, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop. You have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through 2. You have 3 loops remaining, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through 2. And then 2 loops remaining, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the last 2. Then you're going to make 1 treble crochet into every stitch around. I'm going to make 1 more with you and then I'll let you finish. Yarn over twice, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through 2. 3 loops remaining, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through 2. 2 loops remaining, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the last 2. You can see the beautiful treble crochets you're creating at the bottom of the dress. Now when you reach the beginning, you can go ahead and make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 4 that you made. Just take your crochet hook, go into that top stitch. Then you make a slip stitch, just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then go ahead and finish off, just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring enough yarn through to bury into your work. So now go ahead and bury your loose yarn end, and then you're ready to turn the dress around, and we're going to start making the top of the dress. Go ahead and take your dress, this is the bottom portion of the dress where we made our treble crochets, and then here is the top opening of the dress. You're going to need to place yarn markers. On my dress I had 10 stitches open in the front of the dress, not counting where I placed a yarn marker for the sleeve. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches open for the front of the dress. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So I have a yarn marker showing 7 stitches open for one of the armholes. Then on the opposite side I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches marked for the other armhole. Then in the back for mine I have an odd number. It doesn't matter if you have an even or odd number. What you want to do is you want to make sure you have the same number of stitches on the right side and the same number of stitches on the left side. If you have an extra stitch like me, I just put a little yarn marker in there to mark where I'm going to have an open stitch, because we're going to make buttonholes for the back. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing you want to do is have the right side facing you for the front of the dress. And you're going to take your crochet hook. You're not going to join where you have the yarn marker. You're going to go into the next stitch over for the front of the dress. You're going to take and join your red yarn, or whatever portion you want for the upper part of the dress. You're going to chain one. Then you're going to go ahead and tie a knot. After you tie your knot, you're going to chain one. Then you're going to make a single crochet in the same stitch. Make sure you go behind your loose yarn end, bring up a loop, make your single crochet. Then you're going to take your crochet hook, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop. You have 2 loops on the hook. Go ahead and go into the next stitch. I'm going behind my loose yarn end, bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, go into the next stitch, go behind your loose yarn end, bring up a loop. You have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4. Then you're going to chain 1 to complete your trinity stitch. And you're going to make a trinity stitch all the way across to the next yarn marker and then come back. So for mine, so far I have this first trinity stitch, second, third, fourth, and fifth. I have a couple stitches left before my yarn marker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the middle right before where I usually would make the trinity stitch, right in here. I'm going in the stitch before, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch and bring up a loop, and then the last stitch, bring up a loop, because I want the trinity stitch to be even. But you can go into the yarn marker space if you needed to, but this is the way that I did it. Then I'm going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4. Now, for this last trinity stitch, I'm not going to chain 1. I'm going to go back into that last stitch, bring up a loop, make a single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Then you're going to go into the same stitch, make a single crochet. Then you're going to go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, and then make your trinity stitch. So chain 1 and continue across. So I've reached the end. You can see that I'm finishing my last trinity stitch. I'm going to go ahead and yarn over and go through all 4, and then again the exact same thing. You're not going to chain 1 for the last one. You're going to make a single crochet in that same last stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And you're going to repeat this until you have the length that you want for the upper portion of the front dress. Now you can see I'm going to go into the same stitch, the base of that chain 1. I'm going to make a single crochet. Then I'm going to go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, go through all 4, and then chain 1. You can see how you're creating a straight edge on both sides as you complete your trinity stitches. For mine, I finished 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I went ahead and finished off. yarn over, and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Now we're going to work on the back of the top of the dress. Now I'm in the back of the dress, and I'm going to start on this right side is facing up towards me, and it's the back of the top portion of the dress. And I'm going to join. I'm not going to join where I have the sleeve marked. That's last stitch for the sleeve. I'm going into the stitch to the left of it. I'm going to join my red yarn for the top right back portion of the dress. Then you're going to chain one and tie a knot. Then I'm just going to single crochet into the same stitch going behind the loose yarn end. Then I'm going to make my first trinity stitch. I'm going to go into that same stitch that I made the single crochet in, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, make my trinity stitch, chain one, and then I'm going to keep making my trinity stitches all the way up to the center of the dress, which I have marked. And if you have an even number, then you would just put the yarn marker in the space right before where you're going to stop. So for mine, I'm going to stop right before my yarn marker. And then you want the same number of stitches on the left part of the back of the dress. So here, so far, I was able to make, counting the first one where I joined, this is one, and then here's the second, the third, and the fourth trinity stitch. Now here I'm in the same situation where I need an extra stitch to finish a trinity stitch in that last stitch. So normally I would be going into this stitch, but that won't give me enough loops to complete my last trinity. So I'm going to go into the stitch before, bring up a loop, then I'm going to go into the next stitch and bring up a loop, and then the next stitch and bring up a loop, and that will finish right before where I want to finish the top part, the right top part of the dress. Now remember, for your last trinity stitch, you're not going to chain one. You're going to go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, make a single crochet, then you're going to chain one and turn your work. Then the same way that we made for the front of the dress, you're going to go into that foundation stitch of your first chain one for the next row, bring up a loop, make a single crochet, and then start your trinity stitches back across. So the same way that you made the front portion of the dress, and you want the same number of rows as the front, so you want 5 to complete 5 rows on this side. So go ahead and finish completing your 5 rows for the back portion of the dress, and then come back. So I finished 5 rows on this side. You can see how I have a straight edge on both sides. That's what you want. Then you can go ahead and finish off just like you did for the front, just enough to bury into your work. Then you're going to do the exact same thing on the back left side. So you're going to join, and for mine I'm joining, since I had an odd stitch, I'm joining on the next stitch over. But if you had even stitches on both sides, you can join right here. I'm just going to bring up a loop, chain one, then I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot. Then you're just going to do the exact same thing that you did before. I'm going to just work it with you to get you started. Make a single crochet into the same stitch, Make your first Trinity stitch. You're going to go into the same stitch that you made your single crochet, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, next stitch over, make your Trinity stitch, and then continue across to the first yarn marker for the next armhole. So I've reached the next armhole. I don't want to work into this stitch, so I want my last Trinity stitch to fall here. So in order to do that, I would have gone into this stitch for my next Trinity stitch, but since I want it to become even, I'm going to go into the stitch before. Bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, and then my last stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 4. Then remember, for your last stitch, you're going to single crochet into that last stitch. Then you're going to make your chain 1 and turn your work. You want to make a single crochet into the same base stitch of the first chain 1. Then you're going to start your row of Trinity stitches. And then again, you're going to complete 5 rows of Trinity stitches, just like you did for the back right portion. Now you should have both sides finished in the back. You can take all of your yarn markers out. Here's the front of the dress. Then you're just going to take your arms. We're going to sew the sleeves onto the dress. So the first thing you want to do is take the right side of the front of the dress facing up. Take the arm, on this one I'm just going to say the right side. So if you have it on the right side, make sure that the thumb is facing up. I have the right side of the mitten and the sleeve facing up. Then what you're going to do is fold it in half, just like this. Flatten it, flatten the sleeve so that the thumb side is facing up. Then you can take and turn the dress so that you have the one side facing you. So here you can see the opening for the sleeve. I have the right side facing up. Take it, the portion that you flattened, and lay it right against the opening. So now you have the opening portions lined up. Then you're going to take your tapestry needle with the same colored yarn. You're going to come through the corner with your tapestry needle from the wrong side. Grab the one edge of the sleeve. Make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end on the inside for tying a knot. Go ahead and tie your knot. After you tie your knot, you're just going to take and sew the back edge of the sleeve to the armhole. Go ahead and finish sewing across the edge. After you finish sewing across the back edge, you're going to take and move the corner up and just kind of sew around the other side. Leave the top portion of the sleeve unworked. You just want to sew up along the one side. Continue with your tapestry needle. Then for mine, I went ahead and just worked my way back. So I'm going back across where I just sewed because now I want to go up the other side. So I'm going to take and fold up the other side and sew that side, kind of forming a U with the back part of the dress and the front part of the dress. Then you can see how the mitten looks. Here's the front portion of the dress. Here's under the armpit, and then the back portion of the dress. And then we're going to fix the top portion of the dress to make the neck. But for now, that's how the arm looks, and you're going to do the exact same thing for the opposite arm. Just make sure that you get the thumb pointing the right direction. This is what my dress looks so far. Here is the one arm and the other arm. You can see how my thumb's facing up like they should be, and I have the front of the dress. If I turn it over, you can see the back of the dress. Now we're going to make the top portion of the neck of the dress. I have the back of the dress facing me, and I'm going to take and go into the corner on the left side. So go into that corner stitch. You're going to join your red yarn, chain 1, then go ahead and tie a knot. Then you're going to go ahead and make a single crochet, chain 1. Then you're going to go into the same stitch. You're going to go behind your loose yarn end, bring up a loop, make your single crochet. Then you're ready for your first trinity stitch. So you go into the same stitch. Anytime you run across a loose yarn end, just crochet behind it. So go behind that loose yarn end, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, then you're going to yarn over and go through all 4 loops. And for this round, you're not going to make a chain 1, so don't make any chain 1s. Go into the same stitch that you finished the trinity stitch, behind your loose yarn end, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 4, because what we're doing is we're decreasing the number of stitches around. So no chain 1 and repeat. And you're going to do this all the way around to the opposite side and then come back. Now I've reached the opposite side, so I finished going all the way across the top of the dress and I'm on the opposite side. Then I just finished my last trinity stitch. I'm going to make a single crochet into that same stitch. I'm going behind my loose yarn ends. Now for my dress, I'm going to place a button on the right side. So I'm going to make another single crochet into the same stitch, going behind my loose yarn ends. Then I'm going to turn the work to its side, and I'm going to make a single crochet all down the side. So I'm going to go into the next stitch over, make a single crochet, and I'm going to make one single crochet in every stitch down the one side of the back of the dress. So when you reach the bottom of the top part of the dress, come back and I'll show you what to do next. So now you could see how I rounded that corner, went down the back of the dress. Now I'm going to make 2 single crochet into the bottom portion of the turn, or the U of the top part of the dress. Then I'm going to head up the opposite side. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and just make a single crochet, just evenly space them, going up the opposite side. And then when you reach the top is where we're going to make a buttonhole. So here you can see I have a couple of stitches left at the top. I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to skip to the top of the top row. So go into that top stitch, and make a slip stitch, and then I have a buttonhole. So now I'm going to go back down and back to the opposite side. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and then I'm going to go into the stitch, my first of the chain 2, so you can see how I have my buttonhole, but I want to strengthen the chain 2 that I made. So I'm going to make a single crochet in there and then go into that second stitch. And then you can just see how you kind of strengthen that buttonhole that you created. And then you're just going to go back into every stitch and make 1 single crochet, back up, down, and then back up the opposite side. And you can see how you're forming the back buttonhole loop, and we're going to place the button on the back of the dress. Then when I reached the opposite side, I went ahead and finished off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And as you can see, I already placed the dress onto the doll. Here's what it looks like on the front. It fits her perfectly. And here's her mittens. So like I said, if it's easier for you, you can sew the mittens on last. But my method also worked for putting the arms through. And the dress, I love how the dress fits her. And now we're going to sew the button onto the back. Go ahead and bury your loose yarn end. You can use whatever button that you want. I'm going to use this little reindeer button that I have. And it's from Favorite Findings. I have this little jar that I keep all of my Christmassy-like buttons inside of. I love this button because this is my larger-eyed tapestry needle, and it'll fit right through the button. You could use sewing needle and thread if you want to. And then if your button has a smaller opening and you still want to use your yarn to sew your button on, this DMC yarn threader works great for that. And then you can use your slender eye tapestry needle to bring the yarn right through. Since I'm able to use my tapestry needle for my button, I'm going to go ahead and line up my button. Make sure that your buttonhole will go over it, and then you can take and just sew the button in place. So this is what the back of the dress looks like after I sewed my button in place, and I match her earrings that she has, little reindeer earrings. These are real earrings that you can put in the ears. They have the little stopper that came with the earrings, but you could take these off and wear them yourself too if you wanted to. For Mrs. Claus's cape, you're going to take your red yarn, drape it over on itself to form a loop. I'm still using my 5mm crochet hook. Take your middle finger and thumb, hold the base of the loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for your slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain. I'm just going to show you 4 of them, but you're going to make a chain of 25. There's 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, finish your chain of 25 and then come back. Then you're going to hold the last stitch with your middle finger and thumb and make a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to make a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So just yarn over, go into the 4th chain from the hook, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So then you just completed a double crochet. We're going to make 1 double crochet into every stitch back across. Make 1 more with you, yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Go ahead, finish 1 double crochet in every stitch back across. So you can see how I finished a double crochet in every stitch back across. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, make a single crochet into the same stitch. So right into the base stitch where you made your chain 1, you're going to make a single crochet. And then you're going to make 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way across. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Go ahead and repeat that all the way across. Then, when you finished the last stitch, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and again, you're going to make a single crochet into the same stitch. Then you're going to make your trinity stitches across. So you're going to go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4, then chain 1 and repeat all the way across. So go into that same stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, go through all 4, don't forget your chain 1, then repeat all the way across. Now I'm making my last trinity stitch. It came out perfectly even. Yarn over, go through all 4, and just like we've done before, you're not going to chain 1 for the last stitch. You're going to make a single crochet into that last stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and repeat. You're going to make a single crochet into the same stitch. Then make your trinity stitch. And you're just going to keep repeating this for however many rows that you want. Don't forget your chain 1. However many rows that you want for your cape to be. When you come back, I'll show you how many rows I made for my Mrs. Santa Claus cape. So I just finished my last trinity stitch, and for mine I made 1, 2, 3 rows of the trinity stitch. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish off. So just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then you're going to take the top corner, so where the double crochet is the top of the cape. You're going to take your crochet hook, go into that top right corner of the cape, and whatever white trim that you're using, I'm using homespun white trim, but you can use regular white yarn if you feel more comfortable crocheting with that. Then just take and hook whatever trim that you're using for your cape, chain 1, and then tie a knot. Now before I start on the trim, I'm going to make a little button loop here so I can put a button on the opposite side of the cape. So I'm going to make a chain of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you need a larger loop, you can make a larger loop for your buttonhole. I'm just making a chain of 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the same stitch or the next stitch over, whichever's easiest. Just yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then you have a nice little buttonhole in place for when you place your button on the opposite side. Then you can take and go into the next stitch over, go behind any loose yarn ends, bring up a loop, make your single crochet, just yarn over and go through both, and then you're going to make a single crochet into every stitch back across. Now I'm on the opposite side. Here's where my button loop is, and I've reached the opposite side. I'm going to place one more single crochet into the same stitch. So I have 2 single crochet into that last stitch, and then now I'm going to turn and work along the side. So along the side I'm going to make a half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the gap under that first side double crochet, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. I'm going to place one more half double crochet into that same gap, and then I'm just going to evenly space my half double crochets all across the side. One more in that gap on the end. Then I'm going to be turning my work. I'm going to place a half double crochet into the next stitch, and now I'm moving towards the bottom of the cape. I'm going to place one more half double crochet into the same stitch, then I'm going to turn my work. So you can see how I finished the side of the cape. Now I'm going to place one half double crochet in every stitch across the bottom. So I'm going into the next stitch, make my half double crochet, and then just one half double crochet in every stitch across the bottom, and then you're going to evenly space your half double crochets up across the opposite side and then come back. So now I've finished going up the side of the cape. You can tell how I went all around the border. Then I'm just going to make a slip stitch into the base of the stitch where I made my loop. Then you can finish off, just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And then you're ready to sew your button on. So you can pick your button. For mine, again, I'm using my favorite findings buttons, and you can see these cute little reindeer. They have different, this one's jumping, and then this one's standing up. So I've already used this one, so I'm going to use this button this time. And some of the other cute buttons they have, I've used a candy cane before, but this time I'm using the reindeer. This is what her cape looks like after I buttoned the button. And her earrings. Now you can take and decorate the dress however you want on the front of the dress. I received this ribbon on a gift, so I'm using that as my ribbon around the front of the dress. For the bow, I got these holiday decorating bows, a gold one, glittery gold one, and then I'm going to use this figure hook and eye by Dritz for the front of the dress. First, I just cut the amount of ribbon that I wanted and folded it around the top of the dress, lining it up under the underarms. Then I placed the gold latch on the front, took some of the same colored yarn as the dress on my tapestry needle. You can either use a sewing needle and thread, or use a tapestry needle with a slender eye that will fit through the side of whatever you're using for your decoration. I came up from the wrong side of the dress. Make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end on the inside for tying a knot. And then you can go back down. Making sure that you're not going through the doll, just through the dress. And you can take the dress off too of the doll to do this if you want. And then you just tie a knot on the inside. Then after I sewed down the front design, I also sewed the top of my ribbon down. Made a little stitch at the top and also at the bottom of the ribbon. Then I took and just sewed my bow in place right to the ribbon. Then I thought a snowflake would be cute for the front of her dress. So what I like about this snowflake is I can fit my tapestry needle right through. So I'm going to use my white yarn with this tapestry needle, and of course I'll need my DMC yarn threader to help me thread the yarn through. So I'm just going to show you how I thread my yarn. You can use a sewing needle and thread too if you don't have one of these. But you just take and bring the yarn right through the eye and then just cut the amount that you need for sewing the button on. Then I just took and placed the snowflake on the front of the dress and then came from the wrong side with my yarn and then just sewed it in place. And this is what mine looks like after I'm done. You can see how much fun you can have and how creative you can get with your design for your doll.